So, what is every pick worth in the 2023 Dynasty rookie draft?
Okay.
From the 101 to the 112, we're going to give you realistic trades that you could pursue, okay? Both receiving and sending. I'm also going to show you some real trades from you guys. I posted on my Twitter, asked you, hey, like, show me some real trades for some of these picks. So, we're going to see and gauge what each pick is worth value wise at this point after the combine and getting into the month of April. Do us a favor, drop a like to
Come on.
show some support. Subscribe if you like Dynasty content. And I want you to comment down below. People ask us, where's the cutoff point? Where does it tear down in the first round? Where do you think? You let us know in the comments. Where does it tear down in your opinion? Okay. And lastly, if you want to find our rankings, exclusive videos, we just posted an exclusive mock draft over on flockfantasy.com, bonus content, live streams, etc. Go to flockfantasy.com/land. Use our code LAND, LAND, for 30% off. And it's a 2-day free trial, so I'm sure you'll love the site. Let's start with the 101.
101.
The 101 has, without question, gained value. No doubt. I mean, I think we anticipated that back in January, Badake, when people were saying, should I sell the 101 for this or the one? Like,
Agreed.
it's gained value. And typically picks gain value as we get closer to the draft. I would not be surprised if a lot of the picks that you and I discussed today are more valuable
than what it was
at the end of April.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, true. That as well.
So, at the quarterback position, if you need a quarterback and you have the 101, here's a couple options for you. You could obviously trade back, but Lamar Jackson right now looks like a realistic buy. And let's just start from the very beginning and get on the same page, because I can just hear people commenting right now. Why are you using keep, trade, cut? I think we're too harsh on keep, trade, cut. This is like sure, are the values maybe not exactly what everyone sees? At times, yes, but this is a free resource, community-based, community source, crowdsourced. This is only a reference point. We are not claiming that all these trades straight up will work. We are giving you a starting point, okay?
Yeah.
And you use that starting point and you start a trade negotiation, multiple counters back and forth until you reach a happy place. But with the 101, you can start a conversation about Lamar Jackson. You can start a conversation about Justin Fields. You'll probably have to include something, but you can start that conversation. It's unlikely that you get Trevor Lawrence or Justin Herbert, but again, it is worth exploring at a minimum. And here is one of my favorite options right now. If you want to pivot from the 101 and trade back, how about Kyler Murray and the 104, and then sending away the 101 and the 206. I'm trying to give you both sides of the spectrum here. Personally, I like this pivot move. You lose Bijan Robinson, but you gain Kyler Murray plus JSN or plus Anthony Richardson or whoever you prefer at the 104. And apparently the 101 side is worth more there. Again, it's going to differ for everyone, as everyone has different opinions on players. If you need a wide receiver and you have the 101, honestly, at this point, I think it's safe to say that Bijan is held in a higher regard in the Dynasty community than CeeDee Lamb.
Right.
But CeeDee would be the closest, because you're not going to get Justin Jefferson or Jamar Chase if you have the one. That's just realistic. But yeah, I mean, I would say the 102 onwards is the better pick to be trading away for a wide receiver personally.
Yeah.
If you need a running back, keep it simple, stupid. Draft Bijan Robinson. Like, you don't need to overthink that.
Right.
And then I wanted to show you guys some trades that I saw over on my Twitter. Again, I tweeted out, said, hey, if you made any odd trades from the 101 to the 112, or to the 111 rather, put them in the comments below. And I'm going to show you some of those now. So something that I really like from Jay Metal here, he sold the 101 and got a ridiculous package. These are the ridiculous packages that we are talking about when we say, if you get a huge package for the 101, it's okay to sell. Okay. You got Drizzy Drake London, the 104, a 25 first, 225 first actually, and he sent away the 101 and Bijan Robinson. You'd have to be a fool not to accept that side. These are the type of ridiculous packages that we saw for Jonathan Taylor last offseason, where we advised everyone, don't care who the running back is. If you get a package like this, sell the running back. Also, tearing up at running back to buy the 101. Here's a good example from Big Breakfast. Okay, sends away Breece Hall, Zay Jones and Dalton Schultz gets back the 101. I would do that trade just for the 101, but he got the 206 in return. So I like that deal for the 101 side. Go from Brees to Bijan. And then here's an example from Jesperito. I'm not saying that right, but he bought the 101 on the cheap. So again, if this deal is possible, absolutely smash this deal. 101 for the 102 and 202. There's no question in my mind, quality over quantity. And then the last trade I wanted to share, which I don't know who won this trade, honestly, but I just wanted to share it with you guys. You got Drake London, John Mechie, the 101 and the 201 on one side. On the other side, you have Jamar Chase, the 103, and Baker Mayfield. You tell me in the comments who you think you won that. But I wanted to show you guys a lot of different trades out there for the 101, just so you could see what's currently going on in the community. What are we thinking at the 102, Badake? What's it worth?
Yeah, 102. I think if you were looking to get a quarterback right here, there's a couple guys you can go out and get, depending on if you are. I guess I would say one is a win now guy, one is a more futuristic play. You can go out and get Deshaun Watson right now for the 102. Feels pretty fair. 27 years old. I feel like that's more, even though he's still a futuristic guy, I feel like it's a little bit more win now, in my opinion. Maybe that's how I'm seeing it. And another quarterback you can go out and get is Kyler Murray as well, obviously with that ACL tear. But I feel like this is where you'd be paying. This feels like the premium side, right? I think there's a window for Kyler, especially with this injury right now. But if there's somebody out there that's still saying, it's Kyler Murray. Come on, guys. Like, we know what he's going to do. He's going to be back healthy. The 102, I'll be okay doing it. But if not, I personally wouldn't be trading for a quarterback if I have the 102 or the 103, unless if you are a rebuild team. If I'm rebuilding, I'm happy to draft the Bryce or CJ. Just stay put. Believe in those guys. I feel really confident that, in my opinion, that these guys are going to be successful quarterbacks in fantasy and in real life NFL. So I feel really confident in that. All right, in the wide receiver room, there's a lot of guys, and Zach kind of touched on it. CeeDee Lamb, probably a little bit better to go get CeeDee Lamb potentially at the 102 over there. He said that earlier. And then you can go for Amon-Ra or Jalen Waddle, some of those guys. And I would say the 102 has also kind of, I would say, hasn't risen significantly. I would say it probably stayed the same because now a lot of people believe a little bit more in Bryce Young. So they think that the 102 is going to be CJ. Then they're happy to just stay there in the 103 area and not trade up. That's how I'm viewing it. So then you can also go in the running back room. Another area where I will also be happy to trade out of to go back and get a running back in the later rounds, like a Zach Charbonnet, like a one of these guys, Sean Tucker, Jahmyr Gibbs outside of the 102. If you can't get a Bijan Robinson at the 101, but Jonathan Taylor at the 102 for the 102 and Kenneth Walker, two guys I'll be really happy to acquire right now. And tight ends, I'm a little bit hesitant in trading my 102 for Kyle Pitts, but if you're a Kyle Pitts guy, definitely go out and do it. I personally think that you can get him for a little bit cheaper, but there is a window. There is one trade that I saw that someone paid a premium for, and that guy receives, so he's basically receiving the 102. So this is what I believe people are paying for the 102 at times, but I think this is a little bit of an overpay as well. Why not just trade to get an actual solidified quarterback or just trade out of it if you already have one? So I have a trade here. It doesn't have a name, but it's the 102 for the 104, the 110, and the 405. So if I'm trading the 102, I still get the 104, which I have a chance to get Anthony Richardson still. And then I can still get a piece later on in the draft, whether that's Jordan Addison, Zay Flowers, whatever the case may be. That's the type of premium that you're paying for at times for the 102. So if you want to trade out of it, you can do that. Or if you want to trade for it, you might have to be paying that type of premium there at the 102. But for me, I don't know if I would do that personally. That's probably a bad trade example. That's a guy that's getting fleeced, but that's, once again, something that you have to consider here at the 102. What's happened at the 103?
Yeah, and I think it's okay for us to show some examples. I'm sorry if we're showing your trades and we're saying we wouldn't do that, but it's okay to show what's happening and just give an opinion either way if you would do it or not. What I will say is, okay, so let me talk about the 103. I'll hit on some things that you talked about. At the quarterback position, this is where you need to decide if you want to go with a proven asset.
Yeah.
Because Kyler Murray has proven when he's been healthy, in points per game, like he's been a top 5, 6, 7 quarterback in fantasy points. Okay. Do you think he's going to come back, be the same player? Do you think he's going to age well?
Right.
Personally, for me, I do think that Kyler, his arm talent is very special, and I think he can age well into, his mid 30s. So you're asking yourself, do I believe in CJ and Bryce? Because there's a chance they're not good fantasy quarterbacks. There's a chance. I'm not saying it will happen. You know that Kyler is. You guys make that decision. I also think this is where you could probably look at Deshaun Watson at the 103. So you guys make those decisions, depending on what you prefer. And I wanted to show a couple trades for the 103 that included quarterbacks, or I'm assuming people are going to get quarterbacks. This one's from Mark Marmolejo. This is a quality over quantity trade where someone bought the 103. Okay, so he gets the 103 and the 312. He sends away the 110 and the 107. I love this. Absolutely love this. You get yourself into that range of getting a quarterback in the Superflex format. If it's Bryce Young, if it's CJ Stroud, you have him at the 103. I would pay that price, the 110, the 107 every single day to get into that range. That is not an overpay. How about using players who are currently in the NFL to get the 103? Well, Fight On One showed me a trade where he got the 103 and the 104, found the last bit of Trey Lance truthers out there, sent away Trey Lance, Amon-Ra, and the 108. I am more than happy to make this deal to get the 103. Now, if we talk about the running back position, here is where keep, trade, cut, and we try and stay fluid as much as we can. This is where I think keep, trade, cut in the community probably don't line up value-wise, okay? Because in my opinion, you can 100% go out and target Breece Hall, Jonathan Taylor, and Kenneth Walker if you need a running back for the 103. If you put that in a trade calculator right now, whatever trade calculator you want to prefer, specifically we'll talk about keep, trade, cut.
Yeah.
It is going to show you that Breece Hall, Jonathan Taylor, and Kenneth Walker are not worth more than the 103. Okay. But if you look at Dynasty startup drafts, CJ Stroud, Bryce Young, and Superflex formats, they're going right beside each other. It is not crazy. Like the 201 to the 208, look at the last 3 weeks of our startups on our live streams. You will see Bryce Young, CJ Stroud, Breece Hall, Jonathan Taylor, Kenneth Walker. And typically you're seeing those 3 running backs go after those quarterbacks. So you absolutely can and should be able to target Breece Hall, JT, and Kenneth Walker if you need running back at the 103. And at wide receiver, the same thing. Right now, Keep, Trade, Cut is telling you that you cannot get Garrett Wilson, AJ Brown, or Jalen Waddle for the 103. And that's ridiculous because, again, go look at the last 3 weeks of Dynasty startup drafts. CJ Stroud, Bryce Young are typically going right around or above Garrett Wilson, AJ Brown, Jalen Waddle. So this is where I was trying to be realistic with, this is what a calculator shows, but this is what I'm seeing in the community. So again, those are the names I would suggest to target in a Superflex format specifically. Now, if you need a tight end, I know you talked about Kyle Pitts earlier. I think personally, just again, referring, because I personally think that a startup mock draft is the best indicator of players' values because everyone has a chance to draft whoever they want, right? And you're seeing mock drafts happen every day, every week on our channel. Kyle Pitts is not going anywhere near these quarterbacks. And it makes sense to me in a Superflex league. So personally, I don't think Kyle Pitts is worth the 102 or the 103 right now. We just have to be completely realistic. The 103 and the 102 are worth more than Kyle Pitts. However, in a 1 quarterback format, that's the trade I'm showing you now, I would send away the 103 to get Kyle Pitts. For me, it's Bijan, Jackson Smith, and Jigba in a tier of their own. After that, absolutely, I will take Pitts over every positional option in this year's draft.
Okay.
And I want to show you guys some trades that I saw over on the Twitter sphere. Here's some good examples of buying the 103 and trading back. Okay. So you can see a trade here where someone got the 103, a second, and a 24 first, and they moved back from the 101 to do that. So if you're one of those people out there who's like, I have the 101, I need a quarterback, this is the ideal trade that you could make. I love it. Chef's kiss beauty. Mm-hmm. And then the second trade that I want to show you, similar deal. Someone traded back from the 101 to get the 103, a 24 first, and Chig Okonkwo. I like that as well. And then I brought a a sell high video about a week or two ago now, and I talked about Lamar Jackson, pivoting off of Lamar Jackson. And I said, I don't dislike Lamar Jackson. I want to pivot away from him. And this is a fantastic option of someone doing that. Someone got Treylon Burks, the 103, the 204, and Derek Carr for Lamar Jackson. This is the type of deal I want to sell Lamar Jackson for, because then I can go at the 103, take Bryce Young, take CJ Stroud. I have Treylon Burks, who I think could have an incredible year this year. I have a backup option in Derek Carr. At the 204, I can draft the running back, whoever's there. So that's what we're doing at the 103. What are we thinking at the 104?
Yeah, 104. Some similar guys that you mentioned. I have Deshaun Watson here. I think it's another guy you can probably sneak in at the 104. But I think a sweet spot here, once again, like this is where you make your own decision in the quarterback room. This is where you have the window for Anthony Richardson or Will Levis, right? And you have to, really make the decision where you want a proven guy or just run with these younger guys. Dak Prescott, you can get here at the 104 right now. Make a decision. Go with the guy that is kind of proven, or you can go with the younger guy. So it just really depends on where you want to go. And now I do have a trade. For the quarterback room, and it's a bit much. So bear with me here. Deshaun Watson and the 104, the 24 first, and he pivots. This is just a pivot move, right? This is what you have to give up for a guy as much as a Jalen Hurts. So if you want to say, hey, I don't want an Anthony Richardson, I don't want a Will Levis, I wasn't able to squeeze in to get one of these top tight ends. If I have the 104, can I send a package, my 104, and get a Jalen Hurts? Obviously, he has a Sean Watson, maybe wanted to go younger, whatever the case may be. This is something that I would do. I feel really comfortable. This is probably a premium as well for Jalen Hurts, a younger quarterback here, a 24-year-old guy. So keep that in mind. Wide receivers, I would say DK Metcalf is another guy you can probably get over here as well. You can probably squeeze him in at the 104. But I think right now, for me, I definitely do have JSN over DK Metcalf. So if I have the opportunity to get a JSN at the 104, I'm really happy to do that. I'm not taking DK over JSN. Running back room, Travis Etienne here is a nice little soft spot that you can get him in. Jahmyr Gibbs or Travis Etienne. I have Travis Etienne over Jahmyr Gibbs currently in my rankings, so you kind of use that as you will. And Zach's been saying that he's going to take the next step, and I believe that this year. So you have to believe in whether you want a Jahmyr Gibbs, depending on the draft capital. With draft capital, put that all in perspective. I think that could be really exciting. But once again, 104, it's a bit tough to kind of understand where to kind of pivot there. So I do have a trade here for a wide receiver as well, by the way. CeeDee Lamb. This is another trade that I feel like you get a lot of quality over quantity type vibe, but you trade the 104. So this guy gets CeeDee Lamb, Javonte Williams, and he trades away the 104, the 105, the 24 to a 24 second, and then a bunch of other people. This is the type of premium as well that you might have to pay for CeeDee Lamb. I think there's another bit of an overpay, something that I probably wouldn't do 104 and 105 for CeeDee. But once again, if you wanted to trade out and get a solidified wide receiver just for the 104, then this is, I would say, a buy low in a way, but also, actually it's not a buy low. I would say this is an overpay. 104, 105, definitely an overpay, but definitely keep that in mind. And once again, another window. I personally wouldn't do this, but Kyle Pitts is right here in this area. I'm not excited to do Kyle Pitts, and what Zach was saying earlier, I personally would just rather wait a little bit later to get Kyle Pitts, or not later, but wait a little bit later to get a tight end in the second rounds and just hope that that guy is going to hit. But that's just me. That's just me at the 104.
At the 105, let's talk about value here. For quarterback, I feel like this is where Dak Prescott is kind of like the sweet spot. Unlikely to get A-Rich. You're probably asking yourself if you need a quarterback. All right, Will Levis or Dak Prescott? I'm willing to bet on Dak Prescott. Good weapons around him. They're probably going to continue to do that. We know how the Cowboys operate, continually getting new weaponry around him. But Dak Prescott at the 105 is the quarterback I'd probably be targeting. At the running back position, this is where I want Etienne. Right here, this is where I want Etienne. There's not another running back I personally want to trade for. I've talked about this before, but I don't want second half career of Saquon. I'd rather take the 105 and draft Gibbs. Sue me if you don't feel the same way. That's fine. But we might just see Jahmyr Gibbs a little bit differently. If
Mm-hmm.
you need a wide receiver and you can get JSN at the 105, lock it in. Don't overthink it. But if you're a win now team, right now the value of Stephon Diggs is equal to the 105. And this is where we're seeing the value from a month ago change. Because a month ago, according to the community, you could get more than Stephon Diggs. That is not the case currently. The 105 kind of to the 110, 112, that value has dropped at this point. I think there's a chance that it rises up after the draft because I think people are underrating some of these players. But right now, that's around the deal you're looking for. Honestly, if I'm a win now team, I don't think that's an overpay though to go get a Stephon Diggs. But you have to use your discretion. Here at the 105 for tight end, this is where I'm really comfortable with Kyle Pitts in a superflex format. This is the first pick in a superflex format. I'm thinking, okay, I'm comfortable to go get Kyle Pitts. And you can send the 105 and the 401. That's kind of like your starting point again through negotiations. You can get a deal done there.
Right.
For me, it's JSN over Pitts, but it's Pitts over Jahmyr Gibbs. Okay, if we're looking at those two options at the 105. And I wanted to show you one example of someone buying the 105 and doing a really good job. Again, we talk about quality over quantity. They got the 105. They sent away the 110 and the 201. This is a no-brainer. Pull off this move if you can. What are we doing at the 106?
Yeah, 106 here. This is where you can get a couple quarterbacks. Tua Tags or Danny Dimes here. There's a window here. I think you can go get either one of these guys from the 106, maybe even 107. Maybe Zach does mention him. Some of these guys, but I definitely like Daniel Jones and Tua here at the quarterback position at the 106. And that's the one you just outside that window. You weren't able to get a quarterback, one of these quarterbacks in full. You weren't able to move up. Go look to see if you can acquire one of those guys. If you need a wide receiver, this one's tough. I personally wouldn't do this, but according to the community, you can do like 106 and a little bit of a package for DJ Moore. I wouldn't do that because I still believe in a Quentin, and I would personally just say Quentin Johnson over him. I think it depends on where Jordan Addison goes. I like DJ Moore over Jordan Addison as a talent overall. But if you like DJ Moore in this contract with Justin Fields, 106, and I've seen a lot of people kind of do that. And I will show you an example here of somebody sending the 106 for DJ Moore and Jonathan Taylor. So you get DJ Moore, Jonathan Taylor for the 106, the 204, Bateman, and Alec Pierce. In this scenario, obviously because of this trade, I'm taking the DJ Moore and JT side, which is wild. But this is just if you're looking at the wide receiver room, that's what you can do. And that's even a buy low option for JT if you do need a running back. Because if you look at this now, like Zach said, this is where a Jahmyr Gibbs goes. And do you want to go with the younger guy, with the older guy in Saquon, right? And I did have him here as an option, the 106 for Saquon Barkley. I do have Jahmyr Gibbs one spot ahead of Saquon, so I would agree with Zach that I am taking Jahmyr Gibbs over that. All right, in the 106 here, a tight end. I like to take tight ends late. I like to get somebody a little bit later. Mark Andrews is another guy you can go right here if you want a win now window. 27 years old. I guess not even win now. He can definitely last you for a long time. But with the question marks with Lamar Jackson, maybe he even falls a little bit further down, maybe to the 107, 108 area in the next couple of weeks with Lamar Jackson in question. And definitely a win now window. If you have it and you need a tight end, you need to solidify this guy, Travis Kelce. I think this is the perfect time and perfect area. You can go get him if you need that tight end to set your team apart in that tight end position here at the 106.
Yeah, so heading into the 107, I feel kind of similarly with the quarterbacks. I think this, like 106, like Badake said, is your sweet spot for your Daniel Jones, for your Tuas in a super flex format. In the 23 class, this is how I see it. I'll take Bryce Young and CJ Stroud over Daniel Jones, but I'll take Daniel Jones and Tua Tags over Will Levis. That's how I currently view it. So this is kind of that range there. And then if we head into running back, there's really only one deal I love. You know, we've been big advocates. Don't buy running backs this offseason. Lots of things could change. The only deal I really love here, I mean, I don't think you're getting Etienne, but Josh Jacobs. If I'm competing and I can pay the 107 for Josh Jacobs, I feel very, very good about that. probably the best running back last year. I mean, if we're truly unbiased, he was probably the best NFL running back last year, if not top 2 or 3. You can get him there at the 107. And this is probably my favorite range for this entire video as far as the values you can get for the picks.
Exactly. I
According
would
to the
agree
community, right here at the 107, this is where you can go get a Jameson Williams, or at least start a conversation for Jameson Williams. People keep saying Jameson Williams is overvalued in Dynasty. How the hell do we say that when you can get Jameson Williams for basically the price of Jordan Addison? Like, no disrespect, but we know Jameson Williams was someone that the Lions traded up for, 14th overall pick, and a prospect that I love. Apparently, the 107 is worth more than Treylon Burks. For me, personally, I prefer Jameson Williams and Treylon Burks over Quentin Johnston and Jordan Addison. So I am super happy to go ahead and start those conversations. In fact, in one of our home leagues, I have the 107. I'm trying to get Treylon Burks and Jameson Williams this week. If you need a tight end, I don't think this is a good spot for a tight end. Personally, I think there's more value at quarterback, wide receiver in a Dynasty rookie draft. But I wanted to show you one example of selling the 107 that I think is fantastic value. Shout out to Mr. Keeney. He gets Breece Hall. He sends the 107 and the 110. Again, I preach quality over quantity, and that's what we see here. And don't be that guy who comments and says, only Bush leagues are doing trades like this. Like you're above the rest of the Dynasty community. Like, just, it's okay. Everyone plays a little bit differently. This trade might not happen in your league. That's okay. Like, but these trades are happening in the Dynasty community, and you should pay more than this for Breece Hall. But I just wanted to show it there.
Yeah. All right. At the 108, if you do need a quarterback, I would just piggyback off what Zach said with Daniel Jones to having him over Will Levis. But if Will Levis doesn't go in the landing spot I personally like, I still believe in Will Levis, but we'll see what happens. But according to the community, a guy that keeps rising and rising right now, quarterback 17, you can get. I know this is just a reference as well. I personally wouldn't do this, but the 108 for Jordan Love, I think this is a bit too high. I personally wouldn't do this, but if, Aaron Rodgers does make this transition, if this happens, if Jordan Love has a really good first year, do we see him going and do we see people taking this trade, making this trade? You probably have to give the 108 and maybe just a little bit more, like a third round pick. Once again, just wanted to throw that out there. I wouldn't do this, but according to the community, it is a very close deal. Okay. 108 for Drake London. I think you have to throw a little bit extra in there. And I do have an example here. So you can see this guy makes a trade for the 108 and the 303 for Drake London. I think this is great. I would rather have Drake London than the 108, obviously, I have him over Jordan Addison right now. So I would be really comfortable taking Drake London over Jordan Addison. For running back position, kind of piggybacking off what Zach said, Josh Jacobs as well. I would also really be interested in Najee Harris, a guy that Zach and I kind of both believe is going to have a really good year, very undervalued right now, RB13. If Zach Charbonnet is off the board, I will be interested in Najee here at the 108 if I really needed somebody. Personally, that's what I would do in the running back room. And in the tight end room, I think this is where you could potentially see George Kittle. You might have to package him a little bit. Do I want to spend 108 for George Kittle? Probably not. I think he's 29 years old. A guy that, what's the quarterback situation look like? Is that Brock or Trey? I would personally rather keep the 108 and once again, hopefully trade back, get a Meyer, Dalton Kincaid, and take a chance with one of these younger guys here at the 108.
Yeah, so I'm about to talk about the 109 here, and I think this is the same quarterback range that we've talked for the last 3 picks, the 107 to the 109. I think you can talk about Daniel Jones and Tua till your face gets blue, but I think in Superflex, that's what you're looking at, guys. If you need a running back, this is not a pick that I want to trade away to get a running back. There's not a running back out there who's worth the 109 in the NFL that I want to bet on. I'd rather keep the 109. If you need a wide receiver, at this moment, at this very moment, I want Jerry Jeudy, Christian Watson, and Treylon Burks. I want those guys over Jordan Addison which is the wide receiver I envision being at the 109, at this moment, that's what I would prefer. And I'm showing you 3 options. And I talk about how the 109, these trades are starting points. Then you get to a point where you're happy.
Right.
I am about to, right now, live, as we are recording this video, I'm going to accept a deal for Christian Watson. The deal is the 108 and a 406. I threw in a mid 4th round pick. Who cares? I'll do that to get a deal done. I just did that in one of our follower leagues in the hotel follower league. I think you guys should be able to see it here. I'll try and put a screenshot if this looks terrible, but I just traded for Christian Watson. I prefer Christian Watson over any wide receiver I could get at the 108 at this very point. I think a lot of us are ignoring how damn good Christian Watson was, and we're probably ignoring the fact that he will be the focal point of this receiving offense as Jordan Love steps into his next part of his career. I'll bet on Watson. I'll bet on the talent. I'll bet on the freak athlete. If you prefer the 108, then do your thing. But I wanted to hold that trade because I had a counter and I was ready to accept it, but I wanted to hold it for you guys here in this video. If you need a tight end, personally, I know you mentioned Travis Kelce earlier. I think the 109 is the earliest I want to pay. Just trying to keep into account how elite he's going to be, but how old he already is. I think this is the first pick I'm comfortable trading away for him.
Right.
But I also think this is a good spot for Hawkinson as well, if you wanted to look at a deal for TJ. I wanted to show you a couple of good examples of selling the 109. Again, all these kind of deals I'm showing you are quality over quantity trades, really. Someone got Jonathan Taylor. They sent away Brock Purdy in 109 in a Superflex league. Love that. Smash that trade for sure. Someone got Devonta Smith. They sent away the 109 in Dameon Pierce. Some of you might not like that, but I like this deal for Devonta Smith. So I always want to show you some real trades there. You're up here at the 110. What are you thinking?
Yeah, 110 quarterbacks. I think this is where I would be okay to take a chance on a quarterback, and that guy chance is Kenny Pickett. I think you can squeeze him to the 111 as well. Maybe you'll mention him there, but I like Kenny Pickett right here. Still a guy, very undervalued. Love the team around him going into his 2nd year. I'm happy to take a chance here because there's going to be no quarterbacks at the 110 if I'm in dire need of one of those guys. Here's a guy I'm willing to trade away, and that's Trey Lance for the 110. And this is the sweet spot for Trey at the very moment with all the question marks right now. If I can get this trade done and trade away Trey Lance for the 110, I am doing it in a heartbeat because I'm personally not a believer that he is even going to be the starter or be the long-term answer or be a guy that I'm going to be seeing in the future. And that's sad, right? Because we haven't even seen any of him on the field. So I'm happy to take that chance here. Can I get a Jordan Addison? Can I get a Sharpie? Can I get a Michael Mayer? Whatever the case may be here at the 110, I'm happy to take a chance. And it sounds crazy because of Trey Lance, who is only 22 years old.
Can I just quickly say something on that? Do you anticipate over the next week that you could do that deal, though?
I think it will be tough. I think there are people. I have a trade example actually.
Okay, cool.
Of that, and it's it's more of a package.
Okay.
But you can see here, 7 Goats, actually a guy, 7 Goats and Styles, they have a trade in one of our leagues. I forgot which league this was. But you can see he trades away Trey Lance and a bunch of other packages.
Okay.
And he gets the 110 and Tua, right? Like,
okay. Fair.
Once again, forget everything else. Just look at the 110 for Trey, right? And that is something that you can do. You can put him in a package. Can you put Trey Lance in a package, get a 110, 19, 111, whatever that window is? I'm happy to do that and take a chance somewhere else, in my personal opinion. So I'm really happy about that. Wide receivers, a bunch of wide receivers you can go here. I think Christian Watson also was a window there. Treylon Burks, Michael Pittman. I'm happy to make a trade for any of those middle tier guys.
Yeah, those guys feel so good in this range.
Yeah, in this range. And we feel really comfortable taking these guys over Jordan Addison. I would say even over Zay Flowers, Pittman, Watson, Treylon Burks. I think you can even put so many more names in that category as well. The running back room, another guy I'm willing to trade away. I've been trying to find a trade, and a guy that Zach said you should be selling high right now, Tony Pollard for the 110. Another guy I'm really happy to trade Tony away right now to acquire the 110 because I mean, I just personally believe the Cowboys are going to be investing in a running back here very soon in the NFL draft, or maybe even in free agency, whoever is left, right? So I'm happy to trade Tony Pollard away for the 110.
Sure.
Tight end positions, I would be holding right now. But if there's a tight end there, I would also say TJ Hawkinson, but also Dallas Goedert. I would say I will also put him in that category. I'll be happy to take Dallas Goedert, especially, with this team and what Jalen Hurts has done. I'll be really happy taking him here. Obviously, you might have to throw in a little bit of a package, a late third, a mid third, whatever the case may be. But I would definitely be doing that for Dallas Goedert at the 110.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. All right, here we are at the 111. And like Badake said, this is kind of the range for Kenny Pickett, the 110, 111. And I agree, you're not going to find a better quarterback option in the draft. They won't be available there. If you need a running back, I'm going to say the same thing I said about the 109. This isn't a pick that I would suggest to trade away. I'd rather see what happens in the NFL draft and try and look at running back at the 111. If you need a wide receiver, somehow Badake pulled off a trade similar to this. I don't know why. Like, this is ridiculous. I don't even understand how this is possible. And maybe this is where Keep Trade Cut is missing the mark. But maybe there's people out there who are going to comment telling me that he's not worth this. Jahan Dotson for the 111. Even if you have to pay more, this is a great starting point and absolutely a deal that I would do. You can add Treylon Burks, George Pickens to the list as well. And if you need a tight end, personally, I'm coming more and more around, unless it's the perfect landing spot in first round, I'm coming more and more around to the idea of not wanting to draft the tight end in the first round. Because I'm just thinking back to when Pat Freiermuth hit. Like right now, no one's giving you anywhere near a first round pick for Pat Freiermuth, but he's like the ideal rookie season and prospect for a tight end in non-tight end premium league. So I would personally want to trade back into the second round and get value for the 111. If I need a tight end, because there's so many tight ends you could draft in the second round that will be drafted pretty high in the NFL draft. So I'm just leaning more and more towards that ideology with tight ends, drafting them in the first round. I'm not very comfortable with it at the moment because it's just very rare that their value just spikes. And best case scenario, I feel, is Pat for a rookie season, Pat or Kyle, Okay, and I want to give you one example of what I love someone who bought the 111. Again, quality over quantity. I don't imagine this deal happens in many leagues, but I just wanted to show you what's possible. The 111 for Wan'Dale and Isaiah Likely. It's a one quarterback league. Keep that in mind. So this is a one quarterback trade, but I'm still taking the 111 there. What are we thinking at the 112?
112. Here we go. 112 in the quarterback position. I've said this multiple times, and I think it's still here. I think it might be rising a little bit because he would technically be going in the second round video, but Russell Wilson, I think you can squeeze in at the 112. Do you want to do that? You can. But he has risen to now where on Keep Trade Cut, it's fair, right? Before it was like you're overpaying, but now it's getting to that fair point, right on the edge. But I think you can still get him for the 201 to the 203 area. One guy I wanted to bring that I think is very interesting in the quarterback room. If I'm in a win now position, and if I am in a position of I really need a quarterback and I have the 112, I'm willing to send my 112 for Jared Goff. And you might have to give a little bit 112 and like a third rounder or whatever the case may be. But the way Jared Goff played last year and the team that they're building around him, bringing Monty, Jameson finally coming to life, do they get another tight end? Amon-Ra St. Brown, I do believe they might give him a 2-year, 3-year contract extension, kind of like what the Genos, the Daniel Jones got. If they don't draft a quarterback in this top 10, top 15 range, I think they're in. I think Jared Goff could be the answer for the next couple of years, and this might be the lowest you can probably get him until next year. So I really wonder if we can come back next year and see where Jared Goff is and see how that scenario is. Maybe it's not. Maybe it's not the same. But I'm happy to take a chance with Jared Goff here at the 112. The wide receiver room, kind of like what Zach said, I did make a trade for Jahan Dotson, and I do have a screenshot here. I sent Jahan Dotson for the 112, and I added a 406. I'm a massive believer in Jahan Dotson and everything that he's going to be doing there. So I was happy I was able to pull this trade off. For the running back room, Miles Sanders is a guy I'm happy to buy right now for the 112. I think this is a sweet spot. 4-year contract extension with CJ or Bryce is going to be coming in. They usually lean on running backs when a rookie quarterback comes in. So I think Miles Sanders is going to be a really great guy to acquire. And I did speak about Tony Pollard at the 111, but I have another trade. I have a trade for Tony Pollard in the 112, and this is a great sell high example because in this trade, he sends away Tony Pollard in the 112 and he receives Kenneth Walker. I'm doing that every single day, right? And once again, this is probably not the best trade example. Can you actually really do this? But if there's somebody out there that really values Tony Pollard as a top 10, top 12 running back right now, and Kenneth Walker, for me in my rankings, he is a top 5 running back, and you can still send a first, I'm happy to do that trade every single day. So that's what I would do. In the tight end position, I can definitely see where Zach's coming from, where, Pat Frymuth had an ideal rookie season. But I think Mayer is different. And I think that's why I would definitely still consider him at the 112, even at the 111 if I really wanted to build around team needs. But I'm happy to hold the 112 and really hope for Michael Mayer and see what happens. Or if you don't want the 112 and Michael Mayer has gone early or didn't get the draft capital that we all expected, I'm happy to trade the 112 for Pat the Dragon if you possibly can. But once again, is anyone really, if you do get that done, then you're buzzing. But at the same time, I think it might be really hard to do that.
Yeah, and we're speaking from a non-tight end premium format.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's tough. I mean, Pat, perfect rookie season, 24 years old, still not valued more than the 202 right now. It's really difficult. I feel like it's going to have to be the perfect spot.
The thing is, with Pat the Dragon, everyone was kind of scared. It was Deontay that was there. It was Chase Claypool that was there. They drafted Najee. Were people scared about that? Is that why he's not there? I don't know.
It's just very unlikely that a tight end does well as a rookie, and ultimately their value falls. And even when they do, we don't see them skyrocket like Pat. That's what I'm saying. So it's just tough. It's going to take the right spot, the right capital. Like the Cowboys, we talked about this before, but if Kincaid goes to the Cowboys in the first, I'm in. I'm in on the first round.
100%. 100%.
Anyway, that is it for today, guys. Wanted to bring an updated version of this video. Go ahead and let us know what you think in the comments below. Thanks for watching. Enjoy the rest of your day. Drop a like to show some support. Subscribe if you like Dynasty content, and we'll see you in the next video. All love. Now that those idiots are done talking, who needs some rankings?
Hell yeah, I need some rankings.
Then use promo code LAND, LAND, for 30% off any membership at flockfantasy.com.
Oh.
It's so easy. Even your grandma could scan that QR code right there.